Welcome to the podcast, A Drink with Derek. Follow comedian Derek Richards on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and don't forget to subscribe to his YouTube channel and watch all episodes of the podcast. Now grab a drink and join your host, Derek Richards.
And we're here on the streets of New York to find out if the city is dead or if it just needs to be resuscitated. Do you think that New York is dead?
It's definitely coming back.
Do you like Andrew Cuomo?
Oh, yes.
Do you think he's hot?
Yeah.
Do you think he has his nipples pierced?
Ask him to take off his shirt and we'll find out.
I don't know who that is.
He's actually going to be the new news anchor on Good Morning America. He's the new guy on the Jersey Shore. He's actually on MTV's The Real World. Andrew Cuomo is actually going to be in the new Power Rangers movie.
Is he hot? Yeah. Call me.
To be honest, I don't even know. I don't even give a
I like your hat.
I walked into the room, passing out $100 bills, and the thrills like the horns on the bills at my Silverado grill.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were serenading me.
So today's my first time in Times Square, and hey,
Pretty disgusting, right? Is that your natural hair color?
Oh, no.
It's a little bit like Annie. Do you know Annie from the musical? Yes. Give it up for little Annie.
I'm in the news in Times Square. My brother, he rocking that Gucci.
There was a hair in my dinner tonight, and it didn't look like a hair that came from the scalp. Do you think I'm single?
Yes.
What advice do you have for people now that things are opening up?
Don't be scared to go out there and ask someone on a date. Or just ask someone to excuse me, would you like to have sex with me? Fine. Sometimes you get turned down.
Has your sex life gotten boring during the pandemic?
Oh, yeah.
Are you excited to still have sex with him? I think she's lying. How do you feel about calling men daddy in the bedroom?
I'm a big ass feminist, and I love calling him daddy, yes.
How does that make you feel? You look like you just went through puberty 5 minutes ago. We're looking for somebody to give him a kiss for charity. Now he's erect and alone.
That was very nice.
Let us know when you get tested. How has your sex life been in the last year?
It sucks.
Have you ever used your left hand to make it feel like it's a different person?
Yeah, after a while you realize it's the same hand.
Where's Elmo? What's your safe word? I'm so glad you guys got to meet my mom. What do you want to say to people who say that New York is dead?
New York will still New York no matter what. We'll never die.
I love that you're showing a lot of chest hair today. Can that button get any lower? Why don't you show us your nipples? Jesus Christ.
This joint lit. I'm trying to tell you this joint lit.
But don't get it up.
Nice meeting you guys.
You can tell them about it. You can tell them.
Hey, it's A Drink with Derek. Derek Richards here in Las Vegas talking with my guest who's a comedian, actor, TV host. Relax, it's going to take a while. Has a podcast called Daddy Issues. He's worked behind the scenes in marketing. He and I worked together in Reno at the Laugh Factory over at the Silver Legacy Casino. Nicky Paris, NickyParis.com is his website. Follow him for all the social media stuff. Your videos are hysterical. First off, thanks for being with me. You are you're performing in Atlantic City with Eric D'Alessandro, who's a comedian who's gotten a ton of heat off of his videos, his viral videos on YouTube. And it was funny, and I'll be the first to admit this. You told me you were working with this guy, and you sounded so excited. And I love him. I'm like, yeah, this is great. And then I sat there like a douche, and I went, who is he? It's like,
and now you know him. He's great.
And
everyone's going to know him in a few years here. He's amazing. Yeah, I'm in Staten Island. I'm at my parents' house. So I'm really, Derek, right now I'm having like a situation in my head. Do I kill my parents or myself? That's where I'm at. I've been here 48 hours. Yesterday was my brother's birthday party, and my whole family was here. And my grandpa was here, who we're not allowed to tell that I'm gay. And he asked me once again when I'm going to have a girlfriend. So it was, and I didn't tell him that I'm gay because he has Alzheimer's and I don't want to repeat myself. So that's why I'm really holding out on telling him. But it's been taxing. Like, as you could look at me, I look like I just left Six Flags or Dorney Park. Don't I look like I just should be holding a Slim Jim? That I just won this at the local fair over a slushie. So Derek, I don't know if you ever had a guest have a mental breakdown during an episode of your show, but I'm so happy to be the first.
You crack me up because we were talking about this before we started recording, and you work with people, and if you're doing like a one-night show, you come in, you do the show, you maybe have a cocktail, have some small talk, get to know the person a little bit, but then you go on your way, and then that's the end of it. You and I had worked together with Adam Hunter, who's hysterical, and is one of the co-hosts on your podcast called Daddy Issues, and we'll get to that here in a little bit. But we had worked together for a week, and you absolutely crack me up.
You crack me up.
On stage and off stage, conversations with you are just hysterical. It's like, I don't know. The cool thing is, it's like a conversation with you is like going to a potluck dinner and I don't know what they're serving.
You're like, is this like, meatloaf? Or
it's like every layer of conversation with you is like pulling back aluminum foil on something. I'm like, oh, hey, look, fried chicken. And then, gelato. And then I come over here and there's green bean casserole. And so I'm like, oh, this is a pleasant surprise. So you absolutely
Derek,
kill me.
I think that's a low blow because you know that I have high blood pressure. Second of all, I had so much fun with you that week in Reno, and you saw me in a vulnerable moment because me and you went to a local town that Guy Fieri went to, like that restaurant. And while we were walking there, I had so much under boob sweat. So thank you for still being my friend after seeing me in what looked like I went in the kiddie pool.
There was I did not see any.
There was a log flume.
I didn't see
from my back into my shoes that you didn't know about. And let's just say they had to get a mop for that booth when I left.
You disguised it well.
Thank you.
I didn't see any of that. I would have at least done you a solid had I seen all this, perspiration. I would have said, let's pull over. Let's walk over here into this gas station. It's probably air conditioned, and you might die if we keep walking because it was like 170 degrees outside.
It was. I'm just such a sweater. And I really, in and out of the bedroom, and it really has impacted my relationships, my life. And when I sweat, I literally look like Stockard Channing. Like my hair starts, or little Richard, rest in peace. To the listeners, do y'all know Richard? Yeah. When I sweat, my hair swells. So sometimes it looks like a toupee. There's been rumors that I have a toupee. My mom used to call me Velvet Head as a kid. And I don't want to start crying this early in the interview, but yeah, Derek, to confirm to your listeners, I've been through it. And who hasn't? The Taliban is back. When does it end? Can you believe the Taliban is back?
I knew they were going to make a comeback.
That's what people are saying to me. My friend goes to me, what do you think happened to Osama bin Laden's army? I was like, I don't know. I thought maybe they went to grad school. Maybe they saw like a DeVry University commercial. I just can't believe it. And I don't know what else is going to come back now. Furbies or beepers.
Well, there was Taliban tribute bands for the longest time, and now they all got back together.
I have to tell you, when I used to see the ISIS videos, I would always ask myself, who is recording these videos? Because I need them to do my reel. They are so tight. Sure, the murders are horrible, but the editing is so well done. I said, this is not just a terrorist. This is somebody who knows how to use Final Cut Pro. And
I always thought that they should have done those videos in front of a green screen.
Yeah.
Like the old Bin Laden videos that they would always shoot in the cave. I always thought it would be just hilarious to do in front of a green screen. And then like there's Bin Laden and then behind him is Bora Bora. And then like the next one he's at the North Pole. And then the next one he's with like Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck.
Yes.
Like I thought that would have been That would have just been a complete FU to everybody out there going, you think you know where I'm at? Oh, yeah?
Right.
Yes.
And honestly, just like therapeutically, like if you're going to threaten me, do it on top of Mount Fiji. Add some type of background and aesthetic so I'm scared but also relaxed. Like I like a good little mixture. That's how I like to meditate. It's calm, but it's also fear.
Your skill set, your ability to do stuff on the fly. Seriously. No, your video that we saw, the man on the street clip that you put together is hilarious on is New York coming back. Well, because you started in comedy in New York when you were 17 years old. You ended up getting on the Wendy Williams show when you were 19.
I was a younger lesbian then. And I started when I was 17, went to the Wendy Williams fans. How you doing? That's what Wendy says. I love Derek's like, what does that mean? Is that something that she says when she takes off one of her wigs? Yes.
I see her at the gym and the TV is on mute in the corner, and I don't dial into that show. Not that it's not an amazing show and it hasn't done wonderful things for you, but for me, I just go, not my thing.
It's got me in some trouble. Well, I love Wendy. I think that she's so outspoken. But, you know, as I live in Hollywood now, I have some celebrity friends like on the podcast Daddy Issues with Dean McDermott and Adam Hunter. Dean hates Wendy. And maybe I shouldn't be saying that publicly, but I just did. They're not big Wendy fans because Wendy always talks about them. So when I did my Caroline show, we actually got an invite to go on Wendy Williams, me and Dean. Adam had something that weekend. So I really wanted, I've been like the man on the street, like in the subway with the garbage and the rats on the street. But I was like, oh my God, I'm going to get to be on the couch. And they were like, absolutely not. We are not going on that show. So
how did it get you in trouble?
Well, because Wendy talks about them a lot. So, people don't want to be like associated with her, but I love her. And I think that I just love people who tell it like it is. And I think that for her to still be able to do that, I admire that. Like there was some TikTok kid last week that died. Not that she was making fun of him, but she does a lot of, risky things, which I really admire. And that's what I like in a friend.
So what did she do though? So what did she do in terms of this TikTok?
Tori and Dean, she used to say such terrible things about them, like especially when they were doing the reality show and like when they had their marital problems, like Wendy really went after them. And a lot of people, like sometimes when I go on stage and I'm like, oh my God, Wendy Williams, are like, you shouldn't say that as a credit. I'm like, why?
Who cares?
You're using Quibi as a credit. You think that's any better?
Quibi.
Rest in peace, Quibi. Can I let's have less apps. I don't know what developers are listening. We need less apps. Enough. When does it end?
Okay.
I think so.
I think, I just downloaded my Nicky Paris app, so I don't know why.
Yeah, right.
I don't know why you're hating on him already. Now for somebody who had been involved, now I want to go back.
I'm sorry, I completely didn't answer the question.
No. I was going to say I forgot what the damn question was.
I'm a lot like Lindsay Lohan.
Are you now?
Especially at this hour. I think I'm comedy's Lindsay Lohan, except I'm not a ginger, but I could be.
with the right hair dye and the right amount of sweat, you can be a ginger?
Yeah. If I get the right Just for Men's.
Stupid random question. When I am president of the United States, I will create the Department of blank.
I kind of want to say fashion. But only because I know that sounds stereotypical, but here's the reason. I am tired of going to the beach or going to the boardwalk and seeing people's double-decker toes. And if I was president, that's something that I promise. We've been through enough as a country. I have to see your toe make a 75-degree turn. Not on my watch.
Instead of coal, Santa now gives the bad children blank.
Muzzles. Oh. We don't want to hear you anymore at the mall. Take your slime and wash your hands. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. What's a girl's best friend?
A mirror. And girls really look at it. Can I just tell a quick? I have this friend, Derek. And
go for it.
She talks about, I'm going to date a surgeon. She looks like me. And I'm like, you need to come back to reality. Like, why do every girl just
complete with the goatee?
Pretty much. The breast. The whole thing. But every girl has this confidence. I'm going to date a doctor. I'm like, why not a hospital cafeteria worker? Like, let's come back to reality a little bit. Forget somebody who's going to hold a scalpel. Ask for the meatloaf.
Listen, everyone needs to start somewhere. If you want to date the doctor, date the hotel or date the hospital cafeteria worker.
Right.
Listen, some of the greatest success stories start off in the mailroom.
Yeah, that's right.
Exactly.
Receptionist. I watch Nurse Jackie.
Work your way up. Your podcast, Daddy Issues, that you do with Adam Hunter and Dean McDermott. Mm-hmm. What is that? What is the podcast? Explain it to the rest of us.
Okay. So
what can we expect?
So it's like a parenting podcast, but I'm not a parent. I'm basically a child myself. So that was kind of like the joke. Like Dean's like a famous dad of 6, Adam's a new dad, and I still need my dad. Yes, for those listening, he still pays my car insurance, and I really need the help. So hold your judgments, okay? Someday I may pay my own car insurance, but you know what? That day ain't today. So it was, we started it. We're about to start season 2. People have been asking for it, but we've had so many celebrity guests. Like we had Tori Spelling, Perez Hilton, Scott Baio. We had Denise Richards. And we actually got in a lot of trouble. This is more of like, because we would get people to talk about things. Like Denise Richards did this whole episode about how Charlie Sheen brought a hooker to Thanksgiving, which I thought was a good question. They talked about it on the show, but it was all over TMZ, all the things. And who do you think got the blame? Me. Dean was like, you have to apologize to Denise and send her flowers. I was like, Are
For
you kidding
what?
me? For asking about Charlie Sheen bringing I said, those are the questions America wants to know. And she spoke about it on the reality show, The Real Housewives. So I didn't think it was such a bad question.
Right.
They were upset with me. I thought it was a good question.
Was
I wanna
Denise
know-
upset with you?
Yes. I don't know as much
Seriously?
me specifically, but me, the show, but they blamed me.
But I mean, couldn't she just turn around and say, look, I don't like, I'd really rather not go into that. I mean, there's got to be ways that you can deflect.
Well, it was all over TMZ. And so that was very exciting. Like I love them. They're like so much fun to me. And like we met in LA and, you know, they're like my two old, they want to like say they're my older brothers, but they're a lot older than me. So they're like my grandfathers who I really look up to. Adam and Dean, who I hope you're listening. I love you and your osteoporosis. So thank you for being my friend.
See, here's the thing. If I was married to somebody that brought a hooker to Thanksgiving, and I knew that was common knowledge, I would probably steer away from doing any interviews for pretty much the rest of my life, thinking that was going to be a question that was going to be asked.
I told you I'm coming to your Thanksgiving this year, and I left out I was bringing a hooker. So now I just feel like you took the surprise out of this. The sweet nibblers aren't fried corn this year. That's all I'm saying.
That's her name, Sweet Nibblers?
Yes. You
got her on discount?
Yeah, I scanned the yellow pages.
That sounds like the worst name for a strip club, Sweet Nibblers.
Yeah.
Or a great name for a strip club. You could get a stripper and some down-home country cooking.
Right? Where are you going to be? Meet me at Sweet Nibblers. Okay. I would be intrigued. I'd be like, okay, just to find out what makes these nibblers so sweet.
What other interviews did you do on the podcast that ended up becoming scandalous here? Because you were talking about, you mentioned Tori Spelling, and then obviously Denise Richards, of course, here. Yeah.
Buddy of mine, Tori, we kissed. It's on Instagram. That's right. We had for her, I'm sure it was like kissing a lady. I had a very tender kiss with her.
You had a tender kiss with Tori Spelling?
I did. It's on Instagram, and it was a lot like the Britney and Madonna kiss at the VMAs. It was tender like that, and I could tell that she does a lip scrub because her lips are very soft. For those of you who are fans of 90210, let that marinate tonight when you go into the bathroom with the magazines. Wink.
Magazines? You're old school.
People still do that. I do. Yeah, I like to hold something. I like a book. But
it occupies both of your hands then.
I'm multi-talented.
Whatever you can pull off, whatever David Copperfield stuff you can pull off in the bathroom, that's up to you.
I'm actually using this interview with you to announce my residency in Cirque du Masturbation. It's going to be coming to Vegas, and there will be tricks but back to Tori. So I'm so excited to be with you, Derek. I'm going into to those listening, I don't have schizophrenia. Although I haven't been diagnosed. I could. Maybe I'll go on WebMD during this interview. But yeah, Tori and Dean, they said a lot of stuff before that they've never said before. Like they were saying that they had a sex tape and that like Dean helped Tori get vajazzled. So they said they gave so much intimate details about their sex life. And I was just like the nosy neighbor sitting at the table with them being like, and what's missionary like? And they would just answer. So when it came out, it was everywhere. It was like all over it was on E! News the night that it came out because they had never spoken about a lot of that stuff before. And Candy Spelling said our podcast was distasteful. She said something really mean about it on the red carpet, which hurt. Candy, how could you do that to us? I tell dick jokes for drink tickets for a living.
What did Dan say? What did Aaron Spelling say?
He's dead.
There you go.
The podcast killed him. No, I think he died in the early 2000s, late. And I would have loved to meet him because I really do love Tori. She's a great friend. And she was like the best first guest for us.
You couldn't ask for a better first guest.
Yeah, right? I know. I love her and I love the kids. I go over the house a lot. They have a pig. And the last time I was there, the pig peed in the pool. And you know what? I'm polite. I'm Italian. I just swam in it. I'm not going to be the person to complain about the pool. So yeah, that's right. I'd rather swim in a pool that a pig peed in than a kid. Yeah. I'd see the pig first. for you to make that decision. But I love
true.
that.
Let me see exactly the environment that the pig was a part of.
Right.
Now, you are also currently the host of LA TV's talk show called The Zoo. You and I were talking about this at that Guy Fieri restaurant that we went to.
Yeah.
And I was cracking up.
It's the best job I've ever had.
You are Italian American from New York. You are on this show in Los Angeles, which is Hispanic.
It's on Latino public. Yeah. So The Zoo is like the comedy talk show. It's really funny that I'm on a show called The Zoo because I have been called an animal a few times in my life. And now I feel like I'm like, now it's official. I just got neutered. But it's a Latin talk show and I'm not Spanish, but it's been such an amazing opportunity and one of the best TV jobs I ever had. We actually have a huge viewership in prison.
In prison.
And that's right. People are.
How do you know?
They write the station?
Okay, so I mean, I didn't know if Nielsen's were checking the viewership at Pelican Bay.
Here's how it works. All right, they wake up, they have their banana or whatever they're served in prison. They make the license plates, and then they watch LA TV's The Zoo. And if that's not a full day, I don't know what is, but yeah, they write the station how much they love the show. I haven't personally gotten the letter yet, but if this podcast airs in any prison radio stations, write me. I'm very accessible. I love to hear from you. I'm very needy. I will take a compliment from anyone, really. Even somebody from the Taliban. If somebody from the Taliban was like, "You're hot," I'd be like, "You're sick, but thank you." I'm open to all types of. But yeah, it's really funny to me. And I've learned so much about Latin culture.
How did you get the job? So you're coming in there. I mean, I'm assuming that there was a casting director. And so did they look at you and they're like, okay, here is this clearly attractive Hispanic man. And you walk in there, no Spanish.
Like, hola. The only thing that I know how to say in Spanish is Crunchwrap Supreme. So, but they have this podcast where they bring in different comedians.
That alone was probably more offensive to the Latino culture than anything we could have possibly said. The fact that we threw in a Taco Bell menu item as the only Spanish that you know.
First of all, I'm so sorry if I offended anybody. I can't be in control of my mouth.
Way to piss off prisoners. Your number one viewership. Continue.
I hope this gave you a giggle. What do people make in prison? Is it just license plates? Or do they make like toys and stuff? I'm not really up to date.
Well, they're not. What are they, Santa's elves?
I'm assuming prison's like working at a KB Toys. I don't know.
Exactly.
Is that not what they...
Well, I know in Maine there is a prison store where you go into, and they have all these different crafted items that these guys put together, and they like chess sets and all these different things that are made of wood and metal and stuff like that. So I guess to some degree, depending what part of the country you're in, they may make toys.
That's what I want to hear.
I do not recall in the multitude of Hallmark Christmas movies that my girlfriend has watched that I have sat through ad nauseum. Oh, look at you. Did I strike a chord with you?
I almost got cast in a gay Lifetime cowboy Christmas movie. And it's honestly better off that I didn't get it because I had to ride a horse.
Hang on. A gay Lifetime cowboy Christmas movie. Mm-hmm. So was this like Brokeback Mountain meets Scrooge? What was this?
First of all, this is my dream, my parents' worst nightmare, but my dream to be in a Lifetime movie. But here's the thing. I'm deathly afraid of horses. I don't trust them. They scare me. So this whole movie was about two cowboys and you had to like ride a horse. That was like part of the job. So luckily I didn't get it, but I did lie. I said, I'm Nicky Paris and I've been riding horses for most of my life. If I would have got the job, I would have been like Christopher Reeves. They would have had to literally carry me off the set on a stretcher because the horses, I have no doubt that a horse would throw me off.
What would you have done had you gotten that movie? Had you gotten that role? Would you have learned? Would you have figured it out? Okay, listen, I obviously lied. So I've got to go ahead and take a crash course in horseback riding.
Okay, I didn't technically lie. One time I was at a petting zoo and I did ride the pony.
Really?
But there was First of all, that
and
is
it's being led around in a little circle thing.
And I completely understand your point, but I was on the horse. It was.
All I want to do is see the director's face when you hop on the horse and they go, "Isn't anybody going to lead this thing around? Isn't it attached to something?"
Sure, the pony that I was riding was at the Staten Island Zoo, and it was it was in a parking lot. But you know what? That counts as initial horse riding to me. So yeah, what I would have done if I got the part was, first things first. I feel like if you're doing anything with horses, Derek, you just have to watch Seabiscuit. So that would have been like, I haven't seen the film, so I probably would have just rented it just to get a lay of the land and what it's like to be a horse. I'm sure they have feelings.
That's a Kentucky Derby winner horse.
Yeah,
okay.
I would get a big hat and I'd sit in my apartment and really just take in the ambiance of what it means emotionally to ride a horse. And then eventually I would get on one.
Continue.
When I built up the confidence, then maybe I'd, get on the horse. I don't know how I would have done it because the scenes are like them like galloping through like the countryside.
Oh, you would have needed a stuntman for that. I went to a dude ranch one time years ago with my ex-wife, and we went there and went horseback riding. And long story short, another couple that was there had been seasoned horseback riding veterans, and I'm like, well, I can do this. And so they took off, galloping on the horses. I'm like, well, I watch movies. I can do this also. And so all of a sudden I, did the motion, to get the horse to go, and he took off. And it's a, you've got to move your body with the horse. And I do not have that rhythm.
Yeah.
I've got that dumb, drunk Irish bar stool maneuver where I was just like bouncing up and down on this thing, and the horse is galloping. So my nuts are just slamming into the saddle for probably a good 200-300 yards before I finally pulled up on the horse. And I'm like, well, this was the worst idea ever.
Did you talk to the horse after and been like, this is how you hurt me?
I didn't talk to anybody afterwards.
You were just like, I'm just going to retreat. With my
I'm just gonna pack my sack and nuts for a while, or pack my sack and ice for a while, and just chill and relax. I had no dialogue with the horse. I can't blame the horse. I mean, he took off.
Yes,
I told him to take off. And he took off. So I can't blame him for this. So you got very creative. Continue. I'm sorry.
No, it's shocking to me as an American how many people have been attacked by horses. And I just don't know, this is the real problem that no one's talking about.
This is the real problem. It's not COVID-19.
It's horse attacks.
It's not racism in America. It's
I won't
horse
step foot in
attacks.
Kentucky.
It's undocumented horse attacks.
I know they're listening to this show and they're all going to come after me.
That the fake news does not get out.
Yeah, right. I think it's the horse.
They're hiding the vaccines. They're hiding faulty vaccines behind horse attacks.
Mm-hmm.
And if we start seeing a proliferation if we start seeing a bunch of horse attack stories, we know that they're trying to cover up for something else. That means we're getting set to pull out of another Middle Eastern country, and there's going to be another big pile of shit going down over there. So,
I have to tell you, I have a relationship that nobody knows about with a huge news executive. So I have an inside scoop. Yeah, that's right. It's Al Roker. I am Al Roker's mistress. I don't think there's a better show to announce that on than here. That's right. I am Mrs. Roker, and I have an intel into the news stream that most people don't have. And that's how I know about the horses. Thank you, Al.
He sometimes pillow talk yields some productive information.
Wouldn't that be so funny? Like if that's what gets out, like if I was Al Roker's mistress, wouldn't that be such a hilarious person to like take the news? I hope it happens. Al,
I hope it happens too.
Wouldn't that be that's such a funny person to like have an affair with?
He's so innocuous. He is like
right. People think we have a celebrity affair. Brad Pitt, Matthew McConaughey,
right.
Al Roker.
I'm
raising awareness. I'm throwing Al's name in the ring, and no one else is, and that's what else is sick about this country.
I'm hashtagging Al Roker in this podcast when it goes up, by the way, just to see what happens. Let's throw it out there. Yeah, no, you did. You did a lot of stuff during lockdown. Many comedians ended up kind of chilling out, taking a back seat, freaking out, whatever, used some downtime to perhaps do some writing or just sit there and think about killing themselves because they weren't out on the road doing things. But you had performed in the New York City subway during the lockdown. Back of pickup trucks, beaches, rooftops, obviously socially distanced indoor shows, and of course the dreaded Zoom comedy shows, which I think is the worst thing to come out of the pandemic ever, is this virtual crap. But let's get back to the New York City subway show. What prompted this and why?
Derek, I wasn't even afraid of COVID. I was afraid of polio. And that is actually what I caught. I didn't get COVID. Really? I do have hepatitis now. Yeah, I really performed in all these different places. And, in some, I performed on a beach the other night. This is my second beach that I performed on this month. And I was on the phone with my mom. She was like, "What are you up to tonight?" I was like, "I'm performing on the beach." She was like, "Again? I thought things were going, good for you." And I was like, first of all, how dare you, first of all. But yeah, it's interesting, but I've really done it all. And I'm proud of myself that I did, because I've seen so many Lifetime movies. I was like, I can't see my deadly sugar daddy twice. So I was like, I have to work. The first day of the lockdown, I did so many Zoom shows, which I like. I know a lot of people hate them. Do you? But just to sit down and complain, I could be very lazy.
Right.
And I have a little brother who's in a wheelchair, and sometimes I try to compensate by sitting a lot to relate, because I'm that type of human. So whenever
you're a giver.
To show homage to my brother, I sit whenever I can.
What was there has to be, I did 2 Zoom shows. I did 2. One went well, and the other one was a horror show. And I'm like, done. And then so I keep getting these leads from these job websites that us comedians are on. And it says, "Hey, we got this party. It's a virtual thing. It's 20 people. It's my grandma's 70th birthday. And you put in a quote." And I'm like, you know what? $5,000. I'm like, I'm not gonna, you know what? If I'm gonna sit on the computer and look like a jackass, I'm gonna make a lot of money. And no, nobody ever, coughed up that dough. But I'm like, I absolutely hated them. I think that the Zoom shows, the virtual stuff works out well as a musician, but as comedians, you don't have that connection with people, and you're trying to for me, if you have maybe 20 people on the screen, you got to mute them, because all of a sudden somebody starts talking, and then, the microphone clicks and pulls to them, or they have a dog barking in the background or some rotten kid screaming. So that makes it especially challenging. So for you to enjoy these shows or those shows, more power to you.
That just shows you how broken I am, and how badly I need to be validated. There were so many shows I love doing crowd work on the shows, and I love seeing the people in their screens.
Right.
That because they don't expect that they're going to be called out. So whenever I would do it, there would be some couple laying in bed. And I was like, "Would you mind not jerking off your husband while I talk about my muffin top and all my life's problems for 5 minutes?" So that's what I really enjoy, because you catch people out of their element. This one's rubbing their feet. They're eating Jell-O the whole time. So I personally really enjoyed that, because some lady was making a fucking meat sauce during the show. I was like, I'm pouring my heart out to you people, and you can't even stop, and you have to make a bolognese sauce right now.
They have no idea the fragile human being that you are.
They have no idea. But there's somebody who came on with a gun. A lot of people who masturbated that just would come on with their dick out. Yeah, a lot. It happened a lot of times. And I was so relieved it wasn't a dick I knew. I was like, oh no.
How many times listen, not for nothing. 10. Give yourself 10 times.
At least.
People started masturbating during your show. Listen, not for nothing.
When you're hot, you're hot.
Give yourself credit. They found your comedy so entertaining.
It wasn't just me though. That's what they were most.
And they were so fired up that they just wanted to go ahead and snap one off.
Yeah.
So you're watching this. So you're sitting there, and you're seeing somebody on the screen, and all of a sudden it's all right. Here we go.
Yeah, it happened a lot, and the chairs that people choose to masturbate on. If you're gonna masturbate on camera, go to Linens and Things. Go to a store. Get a good chair. I don't want to see you on a folding chair from Kmart. That looks like that just makes the situation sad.
A folding chair, like at a VFW hall.
Exactly. Like if you're gonna wank it on camera, at least have the decency to have an armrest. You know what I mean? Let's try and be civilized. Just try and fool us. So yeah, there was a lot of people that came on and masturbated, but a lot of the Zoom shows, they would have like a producer, so they would like kick them out. But sometimes they couldn't figure out like who was who. Like there would just be somebody like moaning, and the producer would have to like figure out which square it was coming from. It was like a really fucked up game of Guess Who, and they were trying to like determine like
a really fucked up game of Hollywood Squares.
Exactly. And there was one night that somebody like I used to open for Adam Hunter on Zoom every Friday night while he was prepping for his special, and we really did have one night, we told you about this in Reno, where this guy just came out on with a gun and he just sat there, but he really was a good laugher, so we didn't want to get rid of him because it was
well, you're about as safe as you can be. It's not like he was sitting in your like legit audience.
Not yet.
Holding an AR-15. I mean, what kind of? I mean, was it a pistol? Was it a rifle? Was he just?
I only saw G.I. Jane once, so I'm not able to identify what gun it is.
Gotcha.
It was big. It was like something that like James Bond, like a Sentinel. I played those video games. It was like that. I don't think a Sentinel is the right word. Nobody listen to anything I'm saying, but and then I told, you'll get a kick out of this. I go to my mom, I did a show on Zoom last night, and somebody that came on with a gun, they were like in like Hitler gear, and they were saying that they're like, a Hitler youth. My mom goes, really? I didn't think somebody like that would really, be a fan of your comedy. I said, how do I manage? Somebody brings on a gun and I still manage to be insulted. And
it's your fault.
Yeah. Isn't everything 9/11, Hurricane Katrina? Blame it all on me.
It was all on you, huh?
It's all my fault.
How did your parents react when because it's just you and your brother, isn't it?
Yeah.
So your brother, like you said,
I might roll him off a cliff if he keeps up the attitude. He's really been.
He's in a wheelchair. What's he in a wheelchair for?
He tried to attack me. He tried to physically take his.
And then you put him in a wheelchair for that?
Basically, no, he's been in a wheelchair his whole life, but the last time I was home, he took it. It's like a 400-pound electric wheelchair. He really tried to like ram me up against the wall, and those wheelchairs hurt. So like, I'm honestly like grateful that he's in a wheelchair, because if he wasn't, like, I might be. So that's obviously like really, it's scary to me. And
so you and your brother get along great, is what you're telling me.
Yeah,
Famous relationship. Good.
I love him. And, he
gotcha.
better. I do. But if he catches an attitude, I will have Christmas somewhere without a ramp. So he just.
Listen, all you got to do is cut the wires to the battery. He's not going anywhere.
Yeah, that's what my parents do. When he was fresh as a little boy, they used to power him down. My mom just goes, if you call me a fat fuck one more time, I'm going to power you down. And they would do it.
Hang on. Your brother would say that to your mom.
Oh, yeah. Last night he told her, you have a lot of chins.
Oh,
he's very mean. Oh, yeah.
Wow. I can't even imagine. I'd have been in the ground a number of years ago if I said that to my parents.
Well, here's the thing. He knows how to work the system, because this is what I'm saying. Disabled people are very smart. I've seen it with my own hands, because you can't hit a person in a wheelchair. What are they going to do to him? So he says like whatever he wants, like they can't physically hit him. And he really takes advantage of that. Handicapped people, I hope that one day when I'm disabled, I will certainly find
I hope that one day when I'm disabled. I never thought I would hear that sentence said ever.
Oh, yeah. I'm preparing. It's not just the premier parking. There's so many perks. I'm telling you, there's so many things you could lean into if you're disabled. Birthday parties you don't have to go to. There's a whole wave of opportunities that it opens you up to.
Here's what you do. Yeah. Here's what you do to get one of those little souvenir bats that you get at the Mets game, and just shove it in the back wheel. Yeah. And then he'll just spin in circles for days.
I'm gonna try that today.
Give it a shot.
I will.
I've got ideas.
He's fresh.
You want to find ways to ruin somebody's life? Trust me. Call me. We can figure some stuff out. What? How did your parents react when because you came out? You started doing comedy when you were 17 years old. How did they react? First off, when you came out and had told them that you were gay, and then all of a sudden now you're doing comedy. What came first? Did the comedy come first with telling them this, or did you coming out happen to your parents first? And how did they react to both situations?
So first of all, I came out first. I was 15 and I came out in spite. I was in a play at my high school, and I had cut school to go to the St. Patrick's Day parade, which my mom couldn't believe. She's like, "You're not even Irish," but I love to drink and I love men in kilts. So I wanted to celebrate in my own way. And I was such a dedicated thespian and performer that we decided it was our final dress rehearsal of Peter Pan that night, which is also something that no straight person ever says. I'm in a local production of Peter Pan. So we cut school, we drank all day, we smoked pot for the first time, and then we went back to school at night to go to the tech rehearsal. We reeked of liquor, and the assistant principal was there, like watching, like, "Don't you have a life or a boyfriend or a husband? Why are you here at 8 o'clock at night?" So she called our parents to tell them that she was like, "I'm not going to tell your parents that you were drinking, but I'm going to tell them that you cut school." So my mom freaked out and she was like, "I'm taking you out of the play." It was the night before. And how did I get back at her? I came out of the closet. I said, "You think you're mad now? I'm gay." And they were just crying. And Derek, the worst part of me not being in the show was the girl who played the kangaroo, couldn't see out of her mask, fell off the stage and broke her leg. And I can't even tell you.
And now she's in a wheelchair.
Exactly. I'm actually trying to set her up with my brother. But the fact that I missed that and I didn't get to witness, when I die and my life flashes before my eyes, I wanted to see that as my life flashes, and that was robbed from me. So that's why I'm so angry. So that's how I came out. And they were they were so upset. They were devastated. And I think my mom is still not, my parents are very conservative. Like yesterday, my friend was here. She was coming with me to my show, and she dressed up better than me. I said, "I look like your lesbian assistant." And my mom goes, "Shh, not in front of the baby." I said, "What did I say?" Because I have like a 3-year-old cousin. I was like, "What do you think? My 3-year-old cousin's going to say lesbian assistant?" So she's not fully on board still, but you know what? I don't care.
Well, now you had
the roost now.
Now you've been involved in the cool thing, again, more of the layers that we were talking about your personality is that you've been involved in marketing
I've worked behind the scenes since I was a kid.
Yeah. For a number of years, doing marketing and so forth for different acts.
Mostly music.
Mostly music industry.
Mm-hmm.
How did you get interested in doing that? And what's been the best thing for you that's come out of having that experience?
I love lobster risotto.
Okay. Is that a band that I should know?
No, that's just the palate.
Okay.
That I enjoy. I'm not like a lean cuisine type of guy. Mm-hmm. So I have to work. I do a lot of different things.
You and I talked about that. You and I talked about that when we were at lunch.
We do. Yeah.
I like
consulting.
I like to work. I like making money because I don't want to I don't want to buy the Happy Meal at McDonald's because that's all I can afford.
Right. And, I do have a lot of great hosting jobs and comedy jobs, and I do consult for different people. And I think I give really good advice, and I think I could see the business side of the business. I think a lot of people don't realize that it's show business. So, and there's a whole, and in some ways, I feel like it's helped me be a better comedian by being able to navigate the back end. And, it's really all about money. It's a sick business. It really, if I could do it in my next life, I want to work at the Cracker Barrel. Maybe just serve hash brown, something very simple. I would like to be very quiet in my next life, not talk a lot. The exact opposite of who you're talking to right now. I want to be the exact opposite in my next life, just like a mute.
I simply can't see that. There's no way.
Derek, if in this life, if I was a mute, I would have been married already. I probably would have been divorced already. I hate to go back to wishing that I was disabled, but here I go.
What advice would you give yourself now? If you could, how can I put this? If you were doing marketing for you remove yourself from you. What advice would you give yourself right now?
Quit. No, I would say, I don't know. I think I do a pretty good job. I try to, at least. I think that I need to make more videos. But,
Because sometimes it's tough to remove yourself from yourself. It's tough to be that
100%.
drone flying over your own career and saying, okay, this is what I should be doing. This is how I need to go ahead and move myself in this direction to kind of change, a path. So some people can't do that.
I definitely have like a, that side of me where it's like the artist side and then it's the business side. Like sometimes I think, do you really need those chili cheese fries? You're going to have to be topless, by the pool this weekend, but I eat them anyway. And I'm like, I don't have to look at me. So I try to make decisions like that in terms of my career. One criticism I do have for myself is I wish I had the time to make more like videos, but I know that like business wise, like the TikTok stuff, I don't enjoy doing that stuff. And these children who are on TikTok, read a book. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Wear shorts to go past your knees because you're all sick and you're the future of our country. So that's why I don't want to get involved in the whole TikTok. I don't want to be associated with some of you. I'm not dancing and doing these stupid little things on TikTok. Real dancers move their feet. But I would like, I would like to make more videos because people have such success doing that stuff. But for me, I'm a live performer like Celine Dion. I like to be in front of an audience.
Well, like your reference for Eric D'Alessandro when he said make more videos.
Eric's a great stand-up. He's an incredible stand-up, and he really makes me piss.
Well, I was saying, which is great because I think it's cool in some of these cases where people say, well, these guys got their popularity because they had some viral videos. But you do one or two shows, and if you don't have the chops on stage, you're not going to get booked again. So I think that this is just another outlet as opposed to a Comedy Central or late night appearance where this guy is getting heat. He's filling up theaters, creating opportunities for people like yourself to get in front of these people. So I think it's great to be able to go, to put these different videos together and get some heat and get some traction because a lot of people just don't care about, the mainstream outlets that were the only way to go years ago.
Yeah. No, and it's I think you reach different people and it's a great marketing tool to, have those videos out there. It raises awareness and then, people, I feel like in some ways people always like to feel like they discovered or found something.
Right.
And I feel like that's like the beauty of like that, like the benefit you do get from making these videos is that people feel like they're watching somebody that's like on the rise and they get to be a part of that story. Not for me personally, but for other successful people. It's happened. It's limited the people that have come on board for me, which seems about right.
Now you gamble. You do mostly
the Dolly Parton machine.
Of course you do the Dolly Parton machine.
Mm-hmm.
We had talked about that before. I do sportsbook betting for the most part. Mm-hmm. Which is a perfect segue into my good friends at VegasSportsAdvantage.com. Nicky Paris, if you decide to go ahead and gamble on sports, you need to go on their website, VegasSportsAdvantage.com. These guys do all the legwork. They do the research. They find out, everything from the weather in the game, whether it's football, baseball, who's pitching, injury reports. These guys, if you're going to bet sports, bet with your brain, not with your heart. VegasSportsAdvantage.com.
Can you bet on the weather?
You probably can. There's probably a parlay bet that or a prop bet that you can bet. You can bet on the weather.
Al?
No!
Al, I need a tip off of what the weather will be like in Tallahassee.
Nice for the Florida State Miami game.
Yeah, that's right. You heard the Al Roker plug twice.
You don't need to call Al Roker. Just lean over and whisper in his ear.
Shut up, Al.
How rainy is it going to be in the Panhandle this week?
Al, put down your diabetes medicine and tell me what the weather will be like next week.
Worst gig that you had. You walked into the show and you went, oh, this is not going to go well. And can you remember that situation? And did it surprise you and go well? Or was it everything that you had put in your mind that it was going to be in terms of it being, say, a nightmare?
First of all, that's every show I ever do. I walk into the room and I said, where did I go wrong? How did I get so off the path of God?
And people that are watching and listening to this right now, Nicky Paris, this is Nicky Paris. The whole 6 days that we worked together in Reno, every time that we had parted ways for the day, there was about a 60-40 chance I didn't know I was going to see you alive the next morning.
How dare you? I went to bed at 11 o'clock every night, except the last night. I'm a lot like
No, I just didn't know you were going to kill yourself in your room because you just have this. You're so funny, but then you have just this dark twist, and you're like, well, my career sucks. Okay, maybe I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.
Yeah, I like to keep it open-ended. Keep them guessing, as we say in the biz. That's the magic. No, I have a great career, but I like to make fun of myself and put myself down. I really shouldn't do that as much, but I will.
It's hilarious. It cracks me up.
And it's how I feel sometimes.
Laughing.
I have a hard time taking a compliment. But yeah, no, in Reno, I was going to bed very early, and just because I need my beauty sleep. It takes a lot of work to look like this. So, and by that I mean somebody who just looks like they left a NASCAR race or a cookout in the local park in your local town. What was the question when I walked into a show? I mean, I've done so many gigs that were like, I do them all.
Like some gig, you live in LA, say you walk into a gig in Bakersfield, some dive bar, and you walk in and you go, okay, let's see how this is going to shake out. And you walk inside and you see a crowd, you're like going, I'm not sure they're going to be buying into me.
That happens once a week.
Okay.
Because I do say yes to everything mostly.
Right.
And I will get up. Like there was a show. This show was actually amazing, but I will say that I did do a show on the beach. It was right by the water, and it was like, is it low tide or high tide when the water comes up?
That would be high tide when the water comes in.
And it was high tide. So I was like, going to forget being rejected by everybody on the beach. I'm going to get fucking washed out to shore and look like the Loch Ness Monster. So that was an interesting show because everybody was like sitting on blankets. The sun was setting. This one had their crusty toes out, eating Fritos. I was like, these people, I'm not sure they're going to be ready to laugh, but they actually were an amazing crowd. But it literally was on the beach in the sand. And that was last Sunday. So there's about once a week that I'm like, okay, I could potentially eat it.
Now,
especially when I do a gay club. Gay men are not very... for some reason, I'm gay. Gay audiences hate me. And I really am trying to get to the bottom of why. Yeah, and it hurts. I've seen Steel Magnolias. I've done my part. So
what's the can you pinpoint this?
I don't know. I think I'm, I did a gay room last night in New York, and I did it specifically because I know it's not my thing. Right. Which is so crazy to me. But like my act is for like a straight audience, I guess. But I really want to figure out the gay thing because I want to perform in Puerto Vallarta.
I mean, are they saying that you're not Puerto Vallarta? Something like that. Close.
Something like that. Yeah. No, gay men just don't.
Hang on, aren't you on a Latino talk show and you just could not say Puerto Vallarta properly?
I could barely speak English, so I don't know why that's a shock to you.
You're hilarious. No, but when people see your stand-up, when I saw you. I mean, you obviously mentioned being gay, but your act is not geared towards that audience. You were hilarious.
So you know how hard I work on that?
You were extremely universal to everybody. So is it the fact that maybe the gay audience thinks you're trying to be straight?
Here's the thing. Maybe. I don't know. Here's the thing. A lot of the gay comics that I see out right now are alt comics. Right. I don't have a mullet. I'm not going on stage in a JanSport backpack. The whole alt thing is not... really but I want to figure it out because, I want to make it work. But last night they hurt me in ways. I mean, I did well. Was I the best on the show? No. And that hurts. I want to, especially in those rooms, I want to be myself. And gay crowds are mean. And every gay man thinks they're a comedian. It's like, just because your eyebrows are, 2 centimeters thick doesn't mean that you're a comedian. You just look like a clown. Let your eyebrows grow in. They're too thin. Maybe this is why they hate me. I have to do some self-reflection after this interview.
You absolutely kill me. Final question here. We just saw the situation in Afghanistan. All these people pack onto this military aircraft and they're flying out. And we all saw the pictures of all these people on the plane.
That's why I don't fly Spirit.
Nicky Paris, Nicky Paris, you are on the plane. You're on the plane. All these Afghan people are leaving the country. And the pilot comes and says, we need some entertainment. Nicky Paris, what do you do to entertain these people?
I think I would do a striptease because that would make them feel so much worse than the situation would just be better. Have you ever seen something really bad happen? You're like, let me make it worse and then show somebody that it actually wasn't so bad originally. That's probably what I would do. It's a stripper that doesn't get you aroused. They're like, wow, maybe things weren't as bad as I thought.
This goes back to, what was the Sweet Nibblers?
The Sweet Nibblers, where I'll be doing a residency.
The Sweet Nibblers, where you can find Nicky Paris. You can find Nicky Paris at nickyparis.com. Follow him on social media. See him when he does a show. You are hilarious. Wish you nothing but success, my friend. You are fantastic.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for being here, buddy.
Thank you for having me, Derek. Great to see you.
nickyparis.com. Find him.
Thanks for listening to A Drink with Derek. Find out when Derek is appearing near you by checking out DerekRichards.com. See you next time for A Drink with Derek.